welcome back to As If Contemporary Art Podcast with Lisa Fevral. And today we've got a lot to talk about. A lot. I'm gonna try to get through everything as quickly as possible with minimal, stops and breaks and stuff like that for my own damn self because, I'm trying to kind of get things out there in terms of content without passing out all the time. Because fun fact, this girl right here got cancer. Okay, we've talked about this before on my YouTube channel. I kind of made an announcement about it because there's no way to go about it without it being a thing that we talk about. I did make a new video and posted it today, actually. Today for me, not for you. I think that the podcast is going to be a day or two later after the video. Yeah, I made a video, a new one, about My Little Pony as the next video after making a video about cancer, which is a really weird topic to go to after announcing that you have cancer. I know. Talking about bronies after after being like, hi, I have blood cancer is really weird. But such is life. I've got I don't know, it's been a weird couple of months. Okay, it's been real weird. It's strange to be sick. It's strange to be sick young. It's strange to be sick with such a disease. But first things first, I think that I haven't talked about it on my channel because I think that I kind of mentioned that it's second stage cancer. It's lymphoma, it's Hodgkin's lymphoma, thank God. But I don't think I've mentioned that I got the PET scan and it actually proved that it is second stage and that it's not worse or anything like that. It's limited stage. I'm gonna do 4 rounds of chemo, which means 8 chemo days, actual infusions, and then there's 2-week breaks between each one of them, so it's going to be a 3 months long treatment, which is one of the shortest ones. I think it's the shortest one you can have for cancer, except for those where you just get surgery and you just remove the thing and then you just watch out for whether it's gonna what is it called? Metastasize? Whatever the hell it is. I don't know any medical terms. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna tell you right away. It's been a weird couple of months, and since I started treatment, because I started doing chemo, okay? So I'll talk about this in this episode because there's no way for me to not talk about it, okay? It's taking up way too much of my life because I just got 1 dose of chemo so far, and it took me out for a week. That shit took me out completely. I would say that probably 5 days after chemo I was non-functioning entirely. Didn't even eat much, to be honest. I think that I was hitting 200 calories a day, and that was a win for me. First and foremost, when I was filming the last video, I realized just how much of a chemo brain I have right now. Okay, my brain is so foggy. I genuinely forget what I was talking about sometimes. So I went to pharmacy and I was trying to explain to them that the coverage situation and the insurance situation that's happening, there's some kind of issue with it, whatever. And I couldn't explain myself. That was so scary and so uncomfortable for me because I just kept on going and just hoped for the best. I hoped that the pharmacist could understand whatever the hell I was trying to say. Thankfully, she kind of deciphered what I was saying. But goddamn, does it mess with your brain? Crying. I cry so much lately. Every day, as if it's right on schedule. Around 4 p.m. is when the waterworks are starting. In the past 3 days, I actually had pretty good days. I even started tweeting about it, being like, I'm gonna write down that this day was a good day just so I remember and don't K-word myself when it gets really bad next time. Because when I tell you it's hard not to, it is. Okay, it's already not a great thing to be dealing with when you're of sound mind. Okay, if you've never had any mental health issues and stuff like that and you get cancer, it's already gonna be hard. Okay, but if you got mental health issues, girl, this is another beast. This is another thing. There's so many things that I want to talk about when it comes to cancer, but I also don't want to at the same time. That's why a lot of my content right now on my main channel when I will be releasing it, it's not going to be about cancer. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be disappointed, a lot of people who are kind of grief tourists who follow people specifically to just like look at them and be like, I'm so grateful that it's not me, you know, which is, it's fucked up, but that's just how it is. I don't know why. I know that a lot of people are gonna unfollow me as soon as they realize that I'm just releasing weird cartoon styling videos, you know? They're just not gonna feel the same way about following me and about, you know, my videos and whatever. That's fine. I know that I almost reached 20,000 subscribers, and that was like a 5,000 growth in the past month or so, you know, which is quite a lot considering that I wasn't posting. But it was all because of the cancer announcement, and I'm not like expecting anyone to stick around who doesn't want to actually watch my videos, you know? I don't know. It's been weird, okay? A few things about chemo, okay? So it makes you nauseous as hell. The nausea medication doesn't really work that well for me. I mean, it does work, but I think I'm also mentally distressed a lot when I'm not feeling well. It's kind of working, but it's not working on the mental part, and the mental part can make you nauseous as well. So it's just all over not a good combination. I still have my hair, but it's because I'm on ABVD, which is like a regimen that's a drug regimen that's a little bit more lenient. It's one of the easier ones to handle to compare to a lot of other ones. I think that I'll probably still lose my hair in about 2 more chemo infusions, which I'm not looking forward to that. I definitely have a weird shaped head, okay? The face is fine, but the head itself is gonna be weirdly shaped. And I'm not looking forward to that. I also am not looking forward to wearing wigs because for some reason, I don't know if any of you experience that. Let me know if you do. But I feel like there's like a hair stuck in my throat after I wear like a wig for some reason. I feel like it's just psychosomatic, like it's not actual like hair getting stuck in my throat or something like that, but I don't know why I feel that way, and like I need someone to tell me if they feel the same about it. Let me know if you do, because it's kind of confusing to me why I do. The first infusion was a mess, okay? Took 4 hours to just start the infusion, okay? It's not supposed to. Usually like you wait for like 2 hours for the pharmacy to like mix the drugs for you and stuff like that, and they like measure you and they weigh you in and stuff like that, and they decide based on that how much drugs they can like actually give you in that day. And wait, let me actually put some lipstick on, because for those of you that are watching this, it's missing a bit of color, this whole situation. I think it's a bit dark in here too. Is this better? No? I messily put a bunch of red lipstick on, so if it's all over the place, it's all over the place. That's just how it is. The infusion took a really long time to start. The actual infusion it's about an hour and a half. It's not too long, but the issue is, so that day they actually collapsed one of my veins, because when they tried to go in, it like seemed like it was a big enough vein for an IV, but it wasn't. So it kind of started like bulging up, and basically I have like this bruise on my arm now. But from now on, I'm always gonna be requesting for an ultrasound IV, where they basically like look with the ultrasound, and then they can know exactly where the vein ends and starts and whatever, and it's like a lot easier for them to make a really good IV. And the one that they did do for me with an ultrasound on the other arm, it was fantastic. Didn't bruise or anything. I came home, when I took off the like band-aid, it looked like it wasn't even there. Basically, if you are a cancer patient, always request an ultrasound IV injection, especially if you have veins that kind of like to roll, or they like to hide, or whatever it is, because mine are really difficult to catch. I would be a very good spy. It'd be very difficult to inject me with anything without having a proper ultrasound and stuff like that. But in any case, very tough first week after the infusion. So my first infusion was on 24th, and my second one is going to be on the 8th. And I'm not looking forward to it, because it is extremely difficult. Not the infusion itself, but the next few days. Mentally, it's just the worst thing ever, genuinely. I think I've felt maybe twice in my life I've had situations where I felt as bad as I feel now sometimes. But I had a pretty difficult upbringing, so I wouldn't wish this kind of feeling on anyone anyway. Go do your tests, go do your blood work or whatever if you've never done it. Try to catch these things as early as possible, because I got very, very lucky that I managed to catch it pretty early. I would say learn your normal weight, where you're not restricting your diet, but you're not overeating either. Like, learn how much you weigh when you're overeating, learn how much you weigh when you're undereating. If you tend to, if your diet is not very stable, if your diet is quite stable, learn how much you weigh usually when you're eating that much or whatever, because it's going to help you a lot to know when you're losing weight and when you're gaining weight. Because the reason why I caught this early is because I realized that I lost just 1 kilo that I wasn't intending to lose. I was 54 kilograms, and 54 is a pretty normal like weight for me. 54 to 56 to even 60 is more like when I'm getting into that area where I don't really exercise and I eat a lot of stuff. It's just kind of like very lazy weight for me. And I'm gonna tell you that I wasn't exercising and I wasn't restricting my diet, and all of a sudden I realized that I was 53 kilograms, and that was when I was like, okay, this isn't good. And I was right, because I knew the exact weight for me that I should have been at that time, because I kind of know what's my healthy weight and stuff like that. Don't think about weight in terms of looks, think about it in terms of health. And your normal weight can be 65 kilograms, 70 kilograms, and then all of a sudden you're 68 kilograms, and then you'll know that something is off, and you can push for more tests being done, because like that's how I got diagnosed, is that I kept on pushing, like, nah, something's wrong. I can tell that something's wrong. And thankfully I have a really good doctor too. Finding a good doctor in the Western world is so difficult. They're very apathetic. They really don't care whether you live or die, which is a really weird thing to me, because in Russia we do, even though we don't have a lot of resources, we do a lot of tests, and there's a lot of tests available to you every single year. Now it's kind of getting to a point where we're getting more into this Western idea of health is not for everyone. So it's kind of difficult to get good treatment anywhere without money, but it used to be available to everybody, and we used to do tests. Like when I was in middle school, we would have doctors come in to our middle school and do a bunch of tests and stuff like that, and we would go to hospitals sometimes to do a bunch of x-rays and other things like that, so you always knew where you were at with your health. Here you're just, by here I mean in the West, you're kind of just left to your own devices, and you don't know what's happening. You never know. It's kind of like you only deserve to be healthy if you're rich, which is don't even start me on that one. That's just messed up. But in any case, this is where I'm at with my cancer treatment. Just 1 infusion. Have 7 more left. 7. And right now, today, I'm like in a really good mood, so I'm not like, I don't think I seem like too much of a downer. But the first few days after the treatment, like for 5 days straight, it's hard for me to even like have like at least one positive thought, just because you feel so terrible and nothing is helping you feel better. The worst thing about it is that like I can't even go to bed and just fall asleep and just enjoy myself, because you hurt even when you don't move. You hurt even when you're not doing anything. You hurt even if you haven't eaten anything. Like your whole entire digestive system hurts, as if you've eaten something wrong for you, but you haven't eaten for days. So it's just, you're always in pain or in discomfort. And I've talked to some people who also had chemo and stuff like that, and they didn't have those side effects. I'm just like lucky like that, Just everything is always like, it always needs to go wrong, always needs to go like this. But at least I'm happy that my stage is limited, and that I got a type of cancer that can be actually cured, thank God. All the other things about like cancer being able to relapse within 5 years and stuff like that, we'll talk about it when we get to it, okay? I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm not thinking about it tomorrow, and I'm not thinking about it for another 3 months until I'm in remission, okay? This is a problem for another Lisa, for a future Lisa, not for this one. This one is done. I'm tired. I'm not thinking about the future. On a positive note, yesterday I realized that I wanted like a garden around my house, or an orchard probably would be a better word to use, of peaches and rowan trees. I don't think there's an orchard of both anywhere, so it's gonna be the first one. I don't know if they grow well together. I would have to figure it out in terms of climate and stuff like that, but I think it's possible, and I definitely want to do that because both of them mean a lot in folklore. For me specifically, rowan trees are very important, but I just love peaches so much and I love the color peach. So I think that because peaches have the same meaning in other countries as rowan has in Russian, it wards off bad spirits and bad energy, and it's like supposed to protect the family and bring luck to the family. So I kind of want to plant both and then make wine with them and make like traditional Siberian wine that we used to have with the rowan tree, like with the rowan berries. I used to go to an Orthodox girls' gymnasium when I was from the ages of 7 to like 14 or so. I went to one of those. There was rowan trees, the rowan garden all around the school. So I kind of want to do that. I need some luck in my life because who gets blood cancer at 24? Like, that's just messed up, you know. I gotta fix up my luck somehow. And it's just also beautiful colors. I love just staring at colors. That already makes me happy. So to transition into the next section is going to be a music segment. It's going to be a short one, but
what? Are they insane? How are we supposed to survive without any tune?
But it is about Kai. I don't know if you're familiar with him. It doesn't really matter, just look him up. He's got a new mini album. I listened to the first one. I wasn't like, I mean, it's good. It's just didn't hit as much as the second one did, which is, the name is Peaches, which is very on theme, on brand for me. I'm obsessed with the color peach, and I'm obsessed with peaches in pies and in other things like that. I just love eating them so much. And then I find out that peaches have the same meaning in a lot of Asian countries as the rowan tree does in Slavic countries. And for me, rowan trees are everything, like in terms of like symbolism. So now I'm obsessed with merging the two because I love peach color so much and I love rowan trees so much. So now I'm obsessing over the two. And now we have Kai with his second mini album Peaches, and it is a vibe. It puts you in a good mood, which is what I need right now, to be honest. The music video is stunning. I think that if you like choreography, you love it. It's very subtle, it's not over the top, which is sometimes a bit of an issue when it comes to some companies, especially like K-pop companies. When they promote their artists that were usually promoted as dancers, they sometimes overdo the choreography for their solo works, where the choreo is not going to carry the entire project. You know, you can't rely on it so heavily. But that's the thing that it enhances. For this specific song, enhances the song so much that from just being a very chill pop, chill R&B song that's really good, but there's a lot of them, you know, there's so many that are similar to it. It brings it from that kind of song to a whole other level. But the best part is the camera work in the music video, okay? The camera work is like, I would say that it probably made the choreo. If I were to rate the choreo, I would give it probably a 7. A very good choreography, very unique moves and stuff like that. But it doesn't translate as well if it's not filmed in the same way as in the music video. So for example, if you were to go and like watch that, I think it's Chum or something like that, there's this filming of performances in K-pop that's called Chum Studio, and there was a performance that Kai did, and I watched it, and like the way that they filmed it wasn't giving it as much of a like oomph as the music video did. And it's because the camera work decisions that were made in the music video for choreography were absolutely fantastic, stunning. Pay attention to the first like opening scene where the girls are like dancing. They have like all of their hands put in the position before he starts singing, and you can tell that they used this filter on the lens when they were actually shooting, where there's this soft glow at the lines of everyone, and it just does so much for the performance and for the video that, I don't know, you gotta look for yourself. You gotta watch it for yourself. I think you're gonna enjoy it. I think that many people will enjoy at least one aspect of it. I'm really glad that it came out around this time, because for a couple of weeks it's going to really raise my mood here and there. And yeah, the video is stunning. I mean, if you're one of those people that are really into singers or actors or something like that, like you develop crushes on people easily, that's gonna be your guy, I'm sure. That's not really what does it for me in music. So guys like Kai, usually their music kind of goes over my head, or not even over my head. I usually don't really check it out that much, but that's a fantastic work. It's really good. The choreo is just beautiful, the animation in there beautiful, and the entire color palette is peach, which is my favorite color, so of course I'm gonna be gushing about it. It's absolutely fantastic. Check it out if you want to listen to some chill pop, chill R&B, very catchy. The entire album is absolutely fantastic. It's like 6 tracks, I think. It's in like a short EP, and it's really good. You should check it out. Okay, so let's go to the art section.
Yeah, she's a full-on Monet. It's like the painting, see? From far away, it's okay, but up close, it's a big old mess.
So today, we're gonna have a bunch of your opinions, a bunch of your hot takes, and I'm going to react to them and tell you what I think about them. I recently asked you guys what you wanted to say, or what kind of hot takes you have about art or media, not specifically art, and you guys came through with a lot of them, so we're gonna try and get through all of them, or most of them at least. We're gonna start with Sapphic Flower, and they are saying, I'm gonna say they for all of you guys because I don't know the pronouns. I don't want to misgender anyone, but they're saying, I don't know if this is an appropriate visual art opinion, but I think artists that refuse to diversify the way they portray people because of art style or aesthetic are weak. You can't just comfortably portray only one type of person and lazily excuse it as a style choice. Tim Burton is the obvious example, but I also see it in pastel art, excluding dark skin or pinup artists drawing the same sexualized body type. I get it's a practice for all of us, but it's worth making the effort. Obviously, artists of marginalized identities whose art majorly or solely represents their community is different, since they're including themselves in a space that alienates them. Yeah, I think I entirely agree with you on this one. I think that in many ways, I don't think it is possible to have an art style that can legitimately exclude people of different like skin tones or body types. I think that it's definitely an excuse. It's just an excuse, and it's lazy. It really is. With Tim Burton, for example, even if you're drawing like skeletal people, for example, if they wouldn't have skin, just you can have a skeleton of different, you still know what I mean, right? Like you can make someone look pale, even, for example, like people with darker skin can look pale too. It's just about the undertones. It's about the way that the person is feeling. It's about the way that their body is represented. And there's healthy pale. Sometimes I can be healthy pale, and sometimes I can be unhealthy pale and look more like a Tim Burton character. And I think that it kind of goes the same for everyone. I really think it's just laziness. It is. It also shows that they may be pulling too much from other artists. Like, for example, if you are operating in a art style that has been established in one way or another, or you're taking too much from it, if it has been marginalizing people before, you're probably going to be doing the same thing, unless you're going to put a lot of work into developing something original instead of just taking someone else's art or someone else's style and then just saying that, oh, it's just impossible to do in this style. It is laziness. It is. You can figure it out. It's just you don't want to pay attention to it. You don't want to actually do the work, or you're just fatphobic or racist or something. Who the hell knows, But I agree with you. It's definitely true. Lorray said, the fact that each time something trendy or something works well, everyone tries their hardest to copy it and reproduce its success. This YA dystopian book was a bestseller. Let's publish as many books like this as we can. The thing is trendy, right? right now, let's incorporate it in our show. It will absolutely not make it seem very dated in a few years. I kind of feel bad for people who wanted to publish their stories during that dystopian surge and were turned down because they weren't another Divergent and Hunger Games. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why Divergent failed eventually, because they just did not finish their movies within that time frame when people gave a damn about that specific style of writing and about that specific style of movies. But it's one of those things where there's a lot of outdated tropes and a lot of outdated ideas that are still being used. It's the biggest example that kind of comes to mind, mostly because I'm so salty about it and you all know about it, is Winx, the Fate the Winx saga. Just so outdated, and it was just released and it's so outdated. And it's all because they weren't even trying. We're seeing it a lot right now. That's why there's no big franchise right now. There's literally not a single one. You probably noticed that we don't really have a Twilight or a Harry Potter or Hunger Games taking the stage right now, right? Like, nothing is as big as they were right now, largely because everything is stale. Everything that's being introduced and everything that's being made right now. So I do agree with you on that one as well. Okay, the next one is from Big Daddy. The strong woman stereotype is very toxic, as it usually shows that women who are masculine or physically strong, or more specifically imitating male traits, are strength worthy. This is extremely over-exaggerated in superhero movies. When a show applauds women for doing stereotypical masculine things, it hones in on the idea that it isn't or shouldn't be expected and frames it as extraordinary. A woman playing football isn't revolutionary, a woman in STEM isn't revolutionary, it's really reactionary instead. Normalize it. At the end of the day, the strong female character has been reduced to nothing but a misconstrued idea. It's all, look, I'm a woman and I'm strong, isn't that so progressive? And such characters always seem to lack substance. But I mean, that's what you get when you get rich white executives in a room questioning what would the feminists want, despite knowing nothing about feminism. It's true, a lot of the issues with characters in movies is that they are one-dimensional, they're boring, and they got no soul in them, to be honest. They're just soulless caricatures of people, and a lot of the time that involves the strong woman stereotype, where they just put them in a bunch of leather and make them fight a lot and then be mean to the main character until they sleep together, and then all of a sudden they're like lovers or something. I don't know, it's always really boring, and I just stopped paying attention to it, to be honest. And oftentimes what does bother me about this is that the only big franchises that we get with this type of characters as the lead, for example, that's the only franchises that we get with female leads. They're usually this type of character, and that type of character is not interesting to watch, so those movies fail. And then because there's this whole issue of, representing everyone, it's an issue in racial issues and gender issues and stuff like that. If you are a representative of a group that's marginalized, oftentimes your failures are kind of preventing the rest of the people to try as well. And I kind of don't want to dog too much on those characters, because I want people of all types of genders and race and stuff like that to make bad movies too, because white dudes got to make bad movies for so many years and still get accolades for it, and I feel like we're just held to like way of a higher standard of writing and everything. And I just feel like it would be like true equality is being able to suck and still not messing up chances of the same people as you, as people who look like you. That would be true equality. If I, as a woman, could make a horrible movie and then 100 other women would get an opportunity to make the same type of movie just because I did. That would be true equality. Anyway, okay, so the next one is Maria Efstratu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Sometimes productions choose to cast really big names to appeal to the certain actor's fan base, but that doesn't always make a good product. I hope I don't offend anyone, but Emma Watson is an example of this. Her acting isn't bad. She has shown some skills, but she can't really pull off some roles, and she shouldn't get cast just because of her fame. Yeah, there's a lot of actors like that, and also there's this specific oversaturation problem that we have in Hollywood. I mean, it's not just in Hollywood, it's in many places, but in Hollywood specifically, because it's such a visual industry, we tend to want too much of a specific actor, and then we get mad that we see them too much. It happened to literally every actor imaginable, because we give too many opportunities to the same people. Like, why do we need to give multi-million-dollar deals to the same actress over and over and over and over and over again for like 5 years, to the point where she's in literally every movie at the same time, and then everyone gets mad at her for being in every movie at the same time, and then we shun her for like a few years until we not sick of her anymore. I feel like we need to find a little bit of a balance, hire more new people instead of just hiring the same few. I don't think anyone needs multi-million, like $100 million a year for one actor for all of those movies. If you can get 10 actors to play all of those movies and get 10 million each, right? So like, kind of, let's divide it up a little bit. Maybe don't oversaturate the market way too much with the same faces. In general, I don't think it's a good idea. And I also don't think that every actor has that many good characters in them, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. I know actors are gonna be mad at me, because that's the whole point, that they're acting like someone else. They're embodying somebody else, and I get it, but I really don't think that you can believably embody really different characters really well all the time. Even if you are good at acting, I'm still gonna sometimes not believe you, because you just don't look the part, you know. Next one. This is from Eris. This might be a bit of a dry take, but I genuinely think that designers and CEOs should stop inviting people who know nothing about fashion to fashion related events. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true, but that's the thing, that I don't think that the fashion events have ever been about fashion, to be honest. Maybe there are some that are about fashion, obviously, like not every single one of them is about publicity, but I think genuinely all of those events, they're usually made for publicity. They're made to make the public give a damn about fashion. And as you've seen in the past few years, I think the fashion industry is having a bit of a comeback, but it's harder to make fashion interesting when people are mad at excess and at overconsumption, and they don't want to change that, because this whole elitism is the reason why a lot of fashion sells for the prices that it is sold for, you know. So as much as we as people who are not in the industry, who love fashion, we don't give a damn about those people. We don't want to see them. We don't care about that. They only care about those things because they are trying to create a look, and they're just trying to create more profit. I agree with you. I just don't think it's gonna ever happen, because I don't think that it's ever been about fashion really for a lot of those companies. It's always been about profit, or at least it usually is, you know. Okay, the next one is from Clara Ao Melody. It's absolutely annoying how most movies have completely turned into remakes and films based on books. It's the laziest way to get a bigger audience, and real creative ideas that could change cinema are put aside for the 5th remake of Little Women, a Disney live action, or the Dune remake. Yeah, it's really frustrating, because we just don't really get anything fun anymore. Like, everything is a remake, everything has been done, and it's not because everything's been done, because the thing is, we will forget things that happened a century ago, we will forget what happened half century ago, but keep like just doing remakes over and over and over again. I don't know what it's for. I think, I mean, I know that it's because the fan base is already there, but it's just it's one of those things where you could do it so much better, and they just don't. It's laziness mostly, and it's also just people trying to, again, get more profit and cut down on the risks. I don't know what the point is of not risking anything ever, especially when you have that much profit already. Like, you already got a lot of money. I don't know. I really don't. So Is That a Chicken is saying some book to movie adaptations would do better as a series, so the story can be fleshed out correctly. I'm looking right at you, The Darkest Minds. I don't know The Darkest Minds, but I'll tell you that definitely agree with you, because there's a lot of series, a lot of books that would really benefit from being a series instead of being a movie or a series of movies. Being a show gives you a lot of room for long arcs for characters, and I think that it's definitely more suitable for it's more suited for a lot of stories and for a lot of good books. And I think that honestly, I wish more people would risk doing a series, a really good series, than doing a movie based on books. And I think that it's kind of changing nowadays because of the nature of streaming. Streaming really allowed us to get a lot of television that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten, and a lot of shows that have like 12 episodes instead of 24, for example, nowadays, that really benefit from having 12 episodes instead of 24. We also wouldn't have had that if there weren't a change, this big change in terms of streaming being a big part of entertainment nowadays. Okay, so the next one, teenagers in shows don't look like teenagers anymore. This is by Cameron Gloss, which I really don't like, because now teenagers, as myself, can compare myself not only to 20-somethings but to conventionally attractive 20-somethings, which can result in extreme discomfort within their own bodies. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think it's unfortunately not new. It's just not getting better. Even though there's a lot of effort being made into realism and into being gritty and looking at life through a realistic lens in TV shows, especially teen TV shows, for some reason they don't realize that maybe being a little bit less sexual would work better. Like, for example, having balance with it a little bit, because it seems like the way that they're kind of approaching it is making it seem like teens don't have schoolwork to attend to, like that's not a big part of it, like deciding what you're going to do in the future is not a big part of it. I feel like there's always only one episode dedicated to how people are stressing out about exams or about their future or about universities, but there's like 50 episodes about someone freaking out about a hand job or something, and it's like, really, like, come on now. Also, by the way, my eye is watering. I'm just saying to anyone who can hear me like sniffling and whatever, it's just because of a migraine, because that's one of the side effects, which is very wonderful. The second point that Cameron made was how, despite claiming to be against toxic masculinity, most people still talk about, for example, Harry Styles as just gay because he likes to dress more femme sometimes. Yeah, I mean, definitely it does happen. I don't think it's as common as it used to be, obviously, but yeah, people still do say things like that, and it's outdated, it's stupid, but what can you do? Those people are gonna learn. I hope so, at least. And the last point Cameron made was on the topic of Harry Styles. I really can't stand how everybody's praising men like him for breaking gender rules, but when a trans man dresses up in a dress or a skirt or something, their identity gets questioned. Same with trans women who dress more masked. Harry isn't really doing anything revolutionary, and I think that people do praise him way too much. He is just smart enough to keep his mouth shut. He doesn't say anything much. He doesn't really post on social media much. He doesn't give random interviews that would put him in a bad light. He's smart enough to really know how to portray himself in the media. I'm not saying that he's a bad person or anything like that, but it doesn't really matter. He's just good at portraying himself publicly, and that's the only thing that he needs to do, really, because no one can know you as you just through media, and he seems to understand that well enough to keep himself out of the public enough to make people praise him because he's not in front of their faces all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, people will oversaturate your image even when you don't want to be oversaturated. That's what's happening, for example, with Anya Taylor-Joy right now, that soon enough there's going to be a bust in her bubble of the demand for her, and it's because people are getting obsessed with her and they are making her image so popular on Twitter, on Instagram and stuff like that, to the point where she has a very good marketability right now, so a lot of people are gonna hire her right now, and then in the next few years she's gonna have so many projects, people are gonna get tired of her, sick of her, and then there's gonna be this discourse opened about how she didn't do something right or whatever, even when she wasn't really doing anything. It's the same with Harry right now, for example. He is getting oversaturated. It's good that he has really big breaks between his releases of albums, because if he were to release an album right now with a bunch of hits, because like he would release hits because people make things hits regardless of them being good or bad or whatever, as long as you're really popular, he would reach that peak where the bubble would burst, and then everyone would start getting angry at him for example, taking spaces with his fashion that he shouldn't be taking, or something where he's just like, he dresses however he wants, he's not really making any statements in the media. We're making him the figurehead for the movement, when in reality we should be making trans people, for example, the figureheads for those movements. They should be getting more monetary value out of it, for example, right? But it's just how it works. Harry is not doing anything wrong or anything right. It's just, he's just dressing however he wants, and because he's a guy who a lot of people are attracted to, they are going to praise him a lot for doing that, and a lot of guys are gonna start copying him, which already happened. All the pearls situation and stuff like that, the painted nails and whatever, all of that doesn't really directly translate to progress. It just directly translates to things getting more popular, more attractive to people, and then things like reaching a point where it's too much oversaturation and it bursts again. So with Harry, it's just, I get what you're saying, I definitely agree. I don't think he's doing anything really that revolutionary or even interesting. I don't know why people make such a big deal out of it, but I don't think that he himself thinks that he is doing something revolutionary. I think he just wants to be like a rock star, like follow the footsteps of the British rock stars with their eccentric fashion, and that involves gender bending and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know. I think that if you engage with it, with culture, in a more comprehensive way, you will definitely see that there are more people who do a lot more forward thinking things, and usually they are people who are marginalized because they get overlooked, and then those people who are already oversaturated get all the praise because they are right in front of us, right? Like if someone is gonna do something like Harry Styles, he's gonna do it in front of billions of people, than someone who actually started it and did it in front of 100 people. If 100 people say that they saw somebody do it before Harry, it's basically nothing to compare to 1 billion people saying that they saw him do it first, right? So that's why there's always this kind of issue, and it's good that we talk about it, about the fact that these people like Harry Styles are not the ones who started it, and it's good that we talk about it, because I think that before social media and stuff like that, I think that a lot of things like that were swallowed up by the media and spat out in a way that you would never be able to get any recognition for anything that you do if you were in a marginalized group. Now it's still difficult, obviously, but at the very least we can talk about it and look for people who start things, right? Like we can put in effort to do that, instead of just having like one magazine a month from Vogue or something to tell us what's cool and who started it, right? So on hold is saying, sometimes I think about this a lot lately. Being anonymous is not possible anymore. At any piece of content you create yourself, it's also part of the brand. YouTubers change their channel name to their own name when they reach a status now. Even on podcasts, people ask for face reveals. I love to read, and it also reached that community. You want to sell books? You have to sell yourself. I feel like nobody pays attention to art content itself. We are too personality driven. That could also explain the rise of cancel culture and the separate art from the artist topic. But those are more touchy concepts that I am aiming for. What I'm aiming for is that you have to make yourself known if you want to create or not be noticed nowadays. And I don't like it because I want to write books and not give a damn about promoting them on the internet and showing my face. Yeah, no, you're 100% sure. You're 100% right. Also, I'm so sorry for this reading that I just did. Once again, my brain is a fog lately. But unfortunately, this is true not only for creatives anymore. I am gonna tell you that even if you were to pursue a career that's not in the creative field, it used to be only for creatives. It's like a big problem that you would have to get into the business when you don't want to, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, promoting yourself and having this image is part of every career. Even being a damn engineer requires you to have a LinkedIn that's constantly updated with images, with your personal photos, with Instagram and Twitter and everyone checking everything. It is frustrating because I think that there's a lot of oversaturation of personality, and it's also kind of a thing that I've obviously noticed myself because I'm an artist. I should be able to just not show my face and be able to make a living if I sell my work, right? But the thing is, it's kind of the opposite nowadays. You kind of have to show your face before you even able to sell your work. Unfortunately, I know it sucks. I know, because I'm literally right in front of you with a camera in my face. It's not that I particularly I don't hate it, because thankfully I don't have any strong feelings about it, like, thankfully, but I definitely I guess I despise a part of it, but a part of it is fine with me just because I'm not particularly against sharing my personality and sharing my face and stuff like that, but I don't think that it's supposed to be a thing. I don't think that it's supposed to be a requirement, especially. So I definitely see what you're saying. I definitely agree with you, but I don't have a solution, because it not only is it staying in creative fields, it's spreading to all the other fields. It's literally in all the other fields nowadays. Even people I know in my life who have nothing to do with art have to be performing online nowadays with their personalities and stuff like that, and what they're gonna bring to the table in terms of personality to the company. It's a bit much. I think we're merging things we do for survival in terms of food, money, and stuff like that, and our everyday lives way too much. There's no separation, and it's not good, You shouldn't. This whole conversation of not dreaming of labor kind of has a lot to do with this. I should make like a video essay on that, I think, because I don't know how I would even go about it, because it's such a big topic that you would be very difficult to cover without it being boring or without it being too convoluted. But I definitely see what you're saying, and I don't know what we're gonna do about it, to be honest. It's one of those things, Not really. So this is from Medea. Not really a hot take, but stop pitting female characters against each other, especially for a guy. It's getting really dumb and old. The most recent one I could think of is Left Triangle between Bloom, Stella, and Sky and Fate the Wing Saga. I know something similar happened in the OG show, but they didn't have them be passive aggressive over just a guy. Maybe it's because Brandon, as far as I know, doesn't exist in the show. That's the thing. It didn't. There was no love triangle with the friends. I think there was probably what you're referring to probably is the one with Diaspora, but Diaspora was an arranged marriage for Sky that he didn't want to commit to, so he kind of didn't, so it wasn't Stella that was part of the triangle. And also the way that they actually did the introduction and the drama with the couples in the original show was a lot more interesting than the remake, even though the remake was supposed to be a lot more interesting because it's supposed to be for adults, so it's supposed to be more complex. But they just went with this stupid love triangle situation when they could have gone with the original, which the original was that Sky and Brandon lied about their identities. They switched their identities. Brandon said that he's the prince and that Sky is just a squire. And the reason for that was because there was like a terrorist threat, so Sky had to pretend not to be himself kind of situation. So the conflict was that Stella fell in love with Brandon and then realized that he's not a prince but she is a princess, and him kind of lying and whatever, you know. It wasn't about the love triangle, and it's a lot more interesting because it involved politics, it involved all of that kind of stuff, which you could have made a lot more adult and made it so interesting for an adult show, but instead they decided to axe that and just go for a love triangle as if it's made for preteens, you know, which is like, come on, you're supposed to be more mature than the goddamn cartoon that was made for children, and you just didn't do it. I hate everything about Fate the Wing Saga, and I'm sorry. I do. I'm like such a hater, but it's just how it is. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so there's a few more opinions in there, but most of them are either like repeated opinions or similar opinions to the ones that I addressed, and maybe a couple more. If I find that I missed something that's really different, I'll include it in the next episode. But today's episode was all about ranting about Chemo and reacting to your hot takes. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to talk about in the next episode. If you have any art questions or any art topics, fashion topics, media topics that you want me to address, and I will see you in the next one. And thank you so much for supporting me. I really do appreciate it. I do, especially on the really bad days. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.